Hello YouTube. Today I am going to be working on a GE C4350A clock radio alarm clock. I believe it's from the year 1970. The issue I'm having with it is one of the light bulbs is out in the lighted dial. You can see that the one in the left corner is glowing orange. The one on the out, or the one on the right is out. It's flickering. I ordered these replacement bulbs right here. They are neon bulbs called NE2H. These have a little small resistor attached. As you can see, this particular resistor is 82K. This is my first time ever trying to do this. Hopefully I don't kill my radio or I'll be very sad. So let's try to take it apart without killing it, of course. First I'm going to remove the dial on the right. It's really simple. You just pull out the first one, pull out the larger inner one. I'm going to set my phone down to do this. It's pretty simple. Alright, so now that one's out. I'm going to move on to the one in the front, which is making me kind of nervous. It seems really tight. What I'm going to try to do is use this butter knife with the towel wrapped around the edge so it doesn't scratch. I'm going to just kind of put it in there and turn it slowly, and just very slowly try to pry this out without damaging anything. I'm also going to unplug it now because that's probably a good idea. Okay, so I was able to get this off. I very gently just put the knife with the towel around it on either side, twist it a little bit, went to the other side, did the same thing. I just worked my way around really gently until it came off. Luckily, it did not break. And hopefully it'll slide back on later with no issue. Next, I'm going to try to take this one off on the top. It seems very tight. I guess I'm going to try to use a knife here as well and see what happens. Okay, so I was able to get this one off as well. It also survived. I just really gently put the knife here. I was worried about scratching, so I put this paper towel in between the knife and the actual plastic. There's a tiny little baby scratch now, but I guess I did okay. So the next part I'm the most worried about probably. Now is the part where I need to try to open it up. Right now I only see these two screws on the bottom, one there, one there. I'm gonna open them. There's a bunch of warnings on here about high voltage. So I'm just going to be extra careful that I don't touch anything because I don't want to get electrocuted. Okay, I got the two screws out of the bottom. It seems like now if you put it on the side, it almost seems like it's just going to kind of split open. So I'm going to just kind of very gently work my way around, not force anything, and try to get it open. So there is a little indentation here. I'm going to put the flathead screwdriver in it and turn it, and it seems like it's going to help it open up. Okay, so when I took the flathead screwdriver and put it in the indentation here and twisted it, the bottom half opened up pretty easily, but it kind of stopped here, and the top part just wasn't opening up. I didn't want to force anything. At first I tried to just like stick it in the crack and twist it, but I just knew that wasn't how it was supposed to go. You don't want to go in the top and twist it. I figured out that from this hole here, there was a little indentation on the inside in the top, and I just put the flathead screwdriver in here, gently twisted it, and that unlocked the top. So don't go around and start prying it because you'll probably crack it. Just go right in here and twist it, and it seems like the top is now open. So that split it in half. The back part is disconnecting with the speaker attached. I definitely don't want to force it open because I don't want to rip any wires. I'm not sure if I can even open it any more than this without damaging it, so I'm going to have to be really careful now. Alright, so I opened it up fully. The back, all the wires are still attached. I'm just being careful not to put any pressure on them. There only seems to be 4 screws holding this into the front face. There's one here, 2, 3, and 4 there. There's only 4 screws. I'm gonna take them out and if that's all that needs to be done, then I'm gonna proceed. So I'll take them out and see what happens. Wish me luck. Okay, so taking those 4 screws out was all it took to detach the front face part from the clock. The screws are kind of hard to get to. I had to use needle nose pliers to pull the ones here out. The back ones I had to use like a magnetic screwdriver to lift them out. 3 of the screws are the same size, 1 is smaller, so just remember, where the smaller one goes. So it's out, and I'm about to flip it up to look at the front of it. Okay, so I have it opened up. I have it, lying face forward. Just wanted to mention something. These tiny little strings that operate this thing, so just be really careful that you don't break that. If that string breaks, then this radio is probably done for. While I had it opened, I did take an air duster and just kind of dust out the lens, and then just a little bit around here to, figured might as well while I have it open, but I was just, careful. So you can see the light bulb there. I'm going to try to pull it out and see what happens. I'm going to see how it's attached. I have a soldering gun here just in case it requires soldering. That I don't know yet, but I guess we're about to find out. Something that's kind of a pleasant surprise is that the replacement bulb I got seems to be basically the same exact size as the 50-year-old bulb that's in here, so that is a bit surprising. Very happy about that. So that should make this a little bit easier, knowing that the bulb that I bought is basically the exact same one that's been in here since 50 years ago. So there's a little metal clip holding this piece in. I'm going to try to slide it out. I slightly loosened the screw, that way this black clamp holding down the light moved out of the way. It would be better if I could remove this one too, but I need this tiny little socket, which I don't have, so hopefully I can do this without having to remove this piece. Alright, so I was able to actually end up getting this screw out. It was very risky. I don't know if you should even bother trying to do it. Basically what I had to do was take out these 2 screws holding in this faceplate with the numbers on it. But this is attached to it with these tiny little ropes. So I really, all I did was I just unscrewed these and only like lifted it the gentlest amount just to get my finger on the back of this screw head here. Then I used the needle nose pliers to undo the golden nut here. You might be able to do this with leaving this piece on. You might want to, because you could easily just break this tiny rope. But I did it, and hopefully I can get it back together. So at least now we have this fully detached, so I can access it. I'm going to try to get this bulb out and see how it's wired in. So I cut off the electrical tape that was holding these 2 cables together, and you can see now, let me try to focus on this. You can see that the bulb is, I guess, soldered inside of this plastic. I'm going to try to figure out how to do this. Maybe I'll cut back the excess plastic here to expose the part where it's soldered to and remove the bulb that way. Actually, on this side, this plastic covering slid down and exposed the what you call light bulb wire, I guess. You can actually see it has a resistor on here, so I'm very glad I bought the one that has a resistor, because that's the exact same one that's on here. I guess though I need to still kind of cut this plastic here to access where it's welded. Alright, so I was able to cut back the black plastic wire cover. I basically just used these kitchen scissors A wire cutter probably been a lot better, but I don't have them, so I just very, very gently cut here and here, not all the way through, but just enough to break the surface. And then I just worked my way using the scissors very gently along with the needle nose pliers. And as you can see, I exposed, let me get it to focus, the two parts where it's soldered here and here. So I'm going to use my soldering gun that I bought on Amazon for $9, and I'm going to place it on each of the solders here until it basically melts the connection holding the light bulb on. Okay, so put the wires out so they're not over the face of the clock, and then I'm going to use the soldering iron to remove the solder. Alright, so the bulb fell right off on its own. Bulb is out. We're getting there. I'm going to cut off the metal chunks here so I can pull the bulb out of the old plastic harness. I need to get the bulb through here, but there's a little plastic piece in the middle that prevents the resistor from being able to fit through. So I'm just going to kind of break out this little piece in the middle. That way I can get the bulb into the holder. So I had to use like a knife, a corkscrew, a chopstick to gently push out the little divider pieces out that was in the middle. Now it's hollow, so I can just slide the new bulb right into the plastic holding piece. So now that I have the bulb through the plastic holder, I'm just going to weld the bulb back on. Remember, the resistor goes on the white cable side with the plastic cover down here, so just make sure you weld it to the same spot. I guess that's important. Looks like we got the bulb soldered back on, so now I'm just pushing the plastic covers back up to cover the resistor. And now that I have the bulb soldered back together and the plastic wire cover is slid up, I'm going to plug the clock in to make sure that the light bulb works before I start putting it back together. Wish me luck. And miracles do exist, because look, the new bulb is lighting up. It's pretty amazing. I can't believe it's actually working. And the other two bulbs are doing very well. Those are the original ones. I'm definitely not going to bother replacing those because they seem to be perfectly fine. If it's not broke, don't fix it. So look at that. So I'm going to start putting it back together. I'm definitely going to use electrical tape and cover up these exposed wires there. Once I get the electrical tape on there, I'll screw this back, get the clamps back on there and there, and make sure you take your time, go very slow. I definitely don't want to ruin it now. So remember how I cut out the plastic piece inside this light bulb holder in the middle? It probably was a bad idea. Oh well, I don't know how I could have done it otherwise, but I figured out what it was for. It basically keeps the two metal prongs of the light bulb from touching each other. So I guess you don't want those touching. It'll probably short it out. So I just stuck another piece of plastic in between the two metal bars, that way they don't touch each other. And I'm going to use electrical tape to hold that in place. It should be okay. So now I got the clock mechanism put back into the faceplate, and I'm going to put the 4 screws back in. Just remember, the screw here was the one that was shorter. Now for the final steps, I'm putting the 2 screws back in the bottom, the time control knobs on the side. Then I'm going to put the snooze control on the top, and then the front is going to get the tuning dial, and that should do it. Next I'll plug it in and hopefully it's working. So I've got it put back together, plugged in, and it works. Let's turn the lights off. And look, you can actually see the illuminated dial fully lit up. Both bulbs working. I call that mission success.